Welcome to the Smart Publishing Impact Series, where we show you how to turn your expertise into a book that actually drives results. I'm Jonathan Lautermilch, CEO of Smart Publishing.
And I'm Renée Lautermilch, Chief Editor of Smart Publishing. This is the podcast for business owners, coaches, and professionals who don't just want to be authors. They want to use a book to build authority, attract clients, and create real opportunities.
Each week, we break down what actually works when it comes to writing, publishing, and leveraging a book the right way. Sometimes it's just us pulling back the curtain on our process. Other times we're joined by authors, industry experts, sharing how they've used a book to grow their business. If you've ever thought about writing a book, or you already have one and wanted to do more for you, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Smart Publishing Impact Series. I am Renée Lautermilch, one of your hosts and chief editor at Smart Publishing, and I will be joined shortly by our CEO, my counterpart and co-host and husband, Jonathan Lautermilch from Smart Publishing as well. So just a quick tidbit. We lost 1/3 of our episode yesterday, thanks to Riverside FM, the last ones that we have done. A third of the episode, just the end, it decides to stop recording Jonathan's track without telling us anything. And so we lost so much of the episode we recorded yesterday that we just decided, let's try to figure something else out for this week and then redo most of that episode next week. So what I decided to do is to do just sort of like a part one introduction episode. We have a section of that episode that we're able to salvage from what we recorded yesterday, where we're talking about 3 of our authors who are going about leveraging their books in really beneficial and productive ways. And I think that that's excellent content. I want to salvage it. So in just a moment here, I'm going to introduce the parts of that recording that we were able to salvage to introduce the idea of what is a best helper and what does that look like in practice with those 3 authors that I just mentioned. And then next week, we will do our part 2 episode where we will dive into more of the how do you create a best helper and what is the mindset shift that you really need to have in how you think about leveraging your book, so that will complete this 2-part episode series that we're doing on best helpers versus best sellers. So without further ado, here is what we were able to salvage from what Jonathan and I recorded yesterday. Anyways, we've been talking about a best helper. So I think what would help our listeners the most as we get into this subject is to give them some context. Jonathan, what are we talking about when we talk about a best helper?
So I've been reflecting on this a lot. I've been reflecting on this because, I think about my journey as an author, because let's be honest, like most of who we attract are people that are like me. Like the reason I wrote my first book and what I did with it and, the mistakes that happened and the lessons learned and obviously some of the fruit that came from that. And a lot of times when you first go through this process, like, first of all, just writing a book puts you in a unique category. Like that's the first thing to know. Like you're inside what I call the 1% club, which is less than 1% of people will ever write a book within their lifetime. Feel free to go Google that. Right. So just know, like, even if you don't get bestseller, or even if it's not a best helper, just writing a book puts you in that category. Now, the problem is most books that get written don't get sold, or at least in a number worth writing home to your mom about, much less creating an opportunity moving forward. So Renée, I know you know this stat off the top of your head. Like, what's the average amount of books that get sold when someone writes one? I've heard you say this a few times. What's that stat?
So for self-published books, it's anywhere between 250 to 300 over the entire lifetime of the book. So that's just the book being available.
Right.
And I want to throw this other stat in here because I think that people really overestimate the advantage of being with a traditional publisher. Now, if you're with a traditional publisher, you will sell more. You'll sell about 10,000 in your book's lifetime. However, your gain on that is about 10 to 15% of royalties. So most first-time authors with traditional publishers will only make about 5 to 10,000 total dollars off of their book.
And that's lifetime?
Lifetime.
Lifetime, right? So,
Yep.
so that's my point, right? Is you go out, you write this book, and it doesn't create the result that you're looking for. So then you think, okay, great. I need to make it a bestseller because I need more exposure, right? Which is great. Right? That's the whole point of being able to get bestsellers. One, you get the badge, you get the accolades, you get the positioning, and and you get to tote that around for the duration of leveraging that book for any and all conversations you get into, right? Which is great. The other thing that happens too when your book is a bestseller is you start ranking in the algorithm, and we'll just use Amazon as the example. When you're trending up there as bestseller, one, you're at the top of the categories when people look within there. It's also going to increase your likelihood of being looked at when people are just searching, obviously hitting the right keywords, right, with your book concept or your topic or your niche, so that your book ranks up there as one of the top recommended books. It's just like Google and SEO, right? So it's great for exposure, right? The problem is you could have a best-selling book, but let's be honest, if your book is fluffy and vague, or quite honestly, it just sucks, right? It's still not going to bear fruit at the end of the day, right? Because your book actually has to have some sort of impact on that reader to get them to want to take action. Maybe that action's leaving a review. Maybe that action is sharing it on social media or recommending it. Like, I recommend Extreme Ownership till this day. I literally just got done talking about it on an executive roundtable I held right before this call, right? And I've read that book twice, and it's been years since I read it the last time. But I still talk about it because it was the best helper for me. The other thing that happens too, once again, if you've got a clearly defined goal, right? Like, I want to lead people to hire me for speaking or consulting or my course or my mastermind or my program, your book has to have some sort of impact that switches the way that they think, so they take action and want to naturally take the next step, the next progression. Because what a best helper truly does is when someone actually has information that they can apply, right, and see some sort of result, is they start thinking, if I got this from the book alone, what would I get if I actually hired this person, this company moving forward, right? So that's the seed you're ultimately planting with creating a best helper. And that's why bestsellers are great for getting attention, but best helpers are the ones that ultimately close deals and opportunities at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about that is there's a couple mindsets that I've seen people go into writing a book about, or it's probably like three main mindsets that I see people going in writing a book about. The first one, and typically the most common one, is this passion mindset. They're just really passionate about something and they want to share it with the world, and they feel like a book is a good way to do that. And in many ways, absolutely, yes, it can be. At the end of the day, like, if you want to write a book and you want to publish a book just because you want to share something with the world, you can totally do that. Don't have huge expectations in terms of the level of revenue that you're going to make off of that book, though, because I've said in the past, I've got a full episode on this, the riches ain't in the royalties. I just talked about I'm not going to say how little money the average first-time author with a traditional publisher, a major publisher, makes, and it's barely anything. And now, so there's two more that I just want to jump through real quick. So passion is the first one. The second one is what I would call proving. I think that there's a lot of people where they want to write a book because they have something to prove to themselves, or they have something to prove to someone else. That's a mindset that I see a lot. I may have even had that mindset myself in the past for my first book. I just always wanted to write a book because it was a huge accomplishment. So if you're attracted to the premise of writing a book because it's a huge achievement, it's a huge accomplishment, there's a little bit of ego in that, and that's okay. We all, have a need to feel like we are accomplishing things. That's sort of what leads us through life. It'd be pretty depressing if we never felt like we ever accomplished anything. But I see a lot of those people also get really frustrated after they do it because they have sort of these lofty expectations of what's going to happen from it, or the the feeling of accomplishment and pride in accomplishment is fleeting. Accomplishment is an addiction. People are addicted to accomplishments. So if you're always out there looking to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, you may be chasing the wrong thing. There is a void that you are trying to fill that you are consistently not filling, and it will never get filled. With no matter how many accomplishments you fill up, you're trying to put the wrong filling in the void that you're trying to fill. Now, the final one, which we've seen a handful of times, is strategic. There are people who know I need a book as my platform or as my authority builder or as my lead generator. And that is the right mindset for the people that we work with, because that means you're going to go into it the right way. You're going to go into it with open expectations, the right expectations, and you're going to be very clear on working with us to define the outcome of your book. And I just wanted to share those mindsets because I think if you listening are out there wanting to write a book, you need to audit your intentions first before you act. And if you truly have expectations that that book is going to do something for you, then you gotta get clear.
I'm going to share something stupid. This thought just popped in my head. You know how like there's always the dad that's talking to like the first date that his daughter's going on. He's like, "What are your intentions with my daughter?" For some reason I just thought of like like someone looking at a book and go, "What are your intentions with this book?"
That's your first question to people from now on when you speak to them for the first time. What are your intentions?
What are your intentions with writing this book? And give them like the daddy eyes, I call them. But no, it's a great point. And once again, and I shared this last time, I'm going to say it again because it's just the truth. There's two questions you've got to be able to answer before you write any book that's going to be worth your time and worth the energy that you're putting into it. Number one is, what is the impact you want to have specifically on the reader, right? Like, what do you want that reader to be able to do moving forward after reading your book? Once again, I'm not talking about writing a book that's for entertaining someone. That's a whole nother genre, which, once again, that's not really what we specialize in. But if you're looking to really like help someone or a group of people, right? What is that specific thing that you want to help those people with, and who are those people? That's the first thing you've got to be able to answer. The second thing, which is what your third point or third mindset, Renee, you shared is what do I want this book to specifically do for me? Right. And when you can answer both of those with certainty and clarity, I guarantee you will be successful with that book moving forward, even if you don't get bestseller, because you've got clarity on those two pieces, right? If you truly write a best helper and you go, "Hey, I'm going to write this book that's going to solve this specific problem for these specific people. Here are the 8 things, the 10 things, the whatever amount of things you're sharing." Even if they only latch on to one of those things, man, like if you're truly sharing really valuable wisdom with someone, which I believe everyone has inside of them, everyone has something inside of them that they can pass on to someone else that's going to help them avoid some sort of challenge or some sort of setback and help them get to their goal faster. That's what's going to create opportunities for you. And then that's where the clearly defined, how do I want this book to help me moving forward? And then having that pathway laid out. Like if you have something that you want to be able to monetize a skill set, right? Well, then have that clear offer here, have that clear back end that connects with the book that just organically leads that reader into taking the next step. Because I promise you, if you're giving real value, they're going to want to take the next step. It's like going on a date. Like I'll tell the story with Renee. It took me 6 months to get a date with you, but once I had my one date, I didn't have to try too hard anymore to get the rest of those dates because I provided value on that first date, and you wanted to go on more dates with me, and we've been together ever since.
Yes, we have. I don't. What was that? Buffalo Wild Wings? Where did we go?
That wasn't a date. That was where I made my move. And you confronted me the next
where
day.
We went on that first date?
We went to go see Russell Crowe, Robin Hood, and I opened the door for you. You looked at me like I was an alien.
Probably because we went to go see Russell Crowe Robin Hood. Oh
no, you were like, you're opening the door for me. I go, yeah, that's how we Virginia boys do. I was raised a gentleman. And I opened
no wonder I don't remember that first date, because I probably needed to put that movie out of my mind.
Whatever. You remember every second of it. That's where you fell in love with me. But yeah, Buffalo Wild Wings is where I made that move. I put my hand on your thigh and you didn't take it away. I was like, I'm in.
Oh,
she wants it.
Back in 2010. This was in 2010. So
I had a couple rum and cokes. I was like, I'm going for it, boys. I'm going in.
Transitioning to an example of one of our authors who I think has done an incredible job. And one of those authors who came in very clear, understanding the power of a book and how it can be leveraged as a best helper. Now, I want to give the example of Anand Singh. So Anand Singh is a chief information security officer within the cybersecurity industry. Okay. If you don't know anything about the cybersecurity industry, I know a lot about it because my brother is in cybersecurity and has been for, 2, maybe 3 decades now. And so I've been exposed to it a lot. It's a huge industry, massive. So Anand Singh came in at a time when AI was still fresh. And what he saw an opportunity that nobody had carved themselves out as the expert in data security with all of these new things that are being created by AI, all these new risks that are becoming present. So he wrote what is basically now like the cybersecurity handbook on data security in the age of AI. And this is somebody who already knew how he was going to leverage the book. He was going to send it to universities, to their cybersecurity programs. He was going to send it to them. He was going to bring it to conferences with him. FYI, in cybersecurity, they have 50,000 billion conferences every month. So there's lots of opportunities.
They have a conference for the conference.
They have conferences for conferences. I mean, it's a very conference heavy industry. So he brings these with him and sets up tables, and he gives them, this is his marketing budget, by the way. So he's not concerned of people buying the book. Now, it's a best-selling book. Tons of people buy the book at a really big price too, because you can charge pretty good in this industry. But he purchases books that he just gives away for his marketing purposes, and he understands that goes into his marketing spend, just like an ad budget would. That's how he thinks about this. He thinks about this like a business owner. And I'm just going to say, since he has done that, I watched this guy on LinkedIn. He is now in the industry the most authoritative figure on what has become one of the biggest hot button, hot topic issues in cybersecurity. This guy's going around to universities and doing guest lectures. He is being the lead speaker or co-speaker in symposiums within the industry where they're talking about new risks with AI. Like, he is the authoritative figure. And he did that with this book being his primary tool, his primary best helper in establishing himself as that authority. He's done it better than almost anybody I've seen because he had that level of clarity and intention going into it.
No, I agree. I would definitely give him top marks for like the lead generation and closing deals side of things. What another person I want to bring up, and I feel like you'll agree with me on this, is Jason Powell. Jason Powell
Absolutely.
wrote "Compete to Live" here, right? The Everyman's Playbook to Beating Depression, and his goal was to do public speaking and eventually host events, right? A year and a half later, after he put his book out and then joining some different speaking groups and getting his chops done there, Jason actually will be hosting and being paid to do this, by the way, his first all men's conference this summer here in Dallas, Texas. He's got,
So
I believe,
awesome.
8 to 10 different speakers coming in. And once again, he's being paid to run this event, right? And I remember he did events before then where he lost money on those, like just starting to get the chops up. But now here he is getting paid to run an event where once again he's going to be able to live his dream of what he's doing by literally building his own stage, which in my opinion is the best way to get out there. If you're not getting invited on others and you build your own. He's also doing a TED Talk, which I'll be coming out here later this year. He's still, in the midst of that process. And we got another author who's done that as well. It's actually quite an extensive process. And then he's actually writing his second book, which is going to be helping him with more of his consulting and coaching side with infusing humor into your leadership to help increase more influence because his background is being a comedian. So once again, 2 examples. One, you want to close more deals and I'm the expert. Great. Anand's done a great job with that. And he had that clarity, right? And then the same with Jason, someone that's like, hey, I'm ground one with this, but I understand that part of that path is I have to have a book. And he's leveraged that book accordingly and then put into work to where he literally has his own stage up here in Dallas. And once again, I'm very, very proud of him in the work that he's put into that, because a lot of people say they want to be speakers, but to actually go out there and do the work and get that opportunity is a whole other thing.
Yeah, no, great example. And I think actually we have three authors. Derek Sellinger has also done a TED Talk, so I just remember that. I think you're thinking about Trevor Cowley as
yeah, I was thinking about
TED
Trevor.
Talk.
Yeah. So we got
a few TED Talks out there.
Got a few of them.
But rounding out Eric Mitchell too. Why don't you talk about Eric Mitchell? Because that's kind of like we've got speaking opportunities, we've got authoritative, authoritative establishment, and then Eric Mitchell is drawing out these real very clear financially tied to the book opportunities. So
yeah,
that would help out round out sort of the examples.
Right. Yeah, I don't have his book. We got to do a better job of getting me more copies. Like you order all the copies and you hoard them in your office. I need copies too. Anyway, there we go. Sidebar conversation. Eric's done a great job with, once again, his book is really helping, high level professionals with like more of the mindset and dealing with life and all these different things. But his background is in fitness and performance coaching, right? So what he's done is he's married the two together from the fitness side into the mindset side. And now I believe he's got a coaching program that's like 5 weeks long. He's selling them at like $3,000 a pop as he's going out there. And then last time I talked to him, he sold like 3 just in the last month. Right. And that's not including people that are renewing at that same clip and more opportunities. And I think he's got a handful of other corporate kind of like wellness consulting deals out there, which once again, I'm not going to disclose that information because that's kind of a hush until those are out there. So I won't put all your business out there, Eric. But once again, this is the guy that just had clarity on going, hey, I'm tired of being in this industry and just being a fitness coach at the end of the day. And once again, if any of y'all know my background, that's where I was for a very long time. And I felt like I was going to be a fitness manager the rest of my life. And for him to take the steps to go, how do I get myself into a new career path, into new opportunities? Well, I have to do something that other people aren't willing to do, which for him was writing a book. And here he is. He's fully transitioned out of doing that. And now he's out there building his own business, doing what he was called to do by God at the end of the day. So, he's done a fantastic job. He's getting speaking opportunities too out there. So he's kind of a hybrid between the two. But if you look at the reoccurring theme between all three, it was clarity. Both their books are very specific and clear on who they help and serve. And then they're all three very clear on here's what I want to do with this book. Once again, not as a magic pill or a silver bullet, but as a tool at the end of the day to help carve that path to that next level.
All right. And that is where we're going to land the plane today, is just on those examples from our three authors. Like I said, when I started this episode, we are going to continue next week with Jonathan and I diving more into the how. How do you create a best helper, and what are some of the mindset shifts that you need to have in how you go about thinking about your book? Can't wait to get to that material. We're going to record it on a completely different platform. We're going to leave this current platform. It's unfortunately has not proven itself to be reliable, and we don't want that to happen again. So we shouldn't have any other issues with content getting cut out starting next week. But as always, thank you guys so much for being with us for this episode. If you have not already, please make sure to subscribe to this show where you listen, YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And we would love it so much if you could just take 60 seconds to rate and review. Or if you have any questions for us, we always like to see those in the comments as well. Definitely leave one, or you can get directly in touch with us. You can find us at smartpublishingservices.com. Both of us are also on Facebook, Jonathan Lautermilch or Renée Lautermilch, Lautermilch. There are not a lot of Lautermilchs out there with that spelling, so you shouldn't have anybody besides us come up. And lastly, I will say, if you have any questions, we always love it as well when people drop in our DMs on Facebook as well. So don't be shy. And as always, again, thanks for listening, and keep writing your story because the world needs your voice. Take care now.